For some friends in Mumbai who wanted to learn about birds in their area, I decided to take some time and show them how you could explore in eBird. In eBird, you can explore species, if there's a species you want to look for, or you can just explore a region. So here we'll just put in Mumbai in India, and we'll see what we can find. You can find maps, bar charts for what's around at different times of year, but just sort of exploring what might be there. Type in Mumbai, and there we go. 330 species have been observed on 6,760 checklists. That's incredible. There are over 900 active eBirders and 51 hotspots in the region. There's a lot of media you can find through eBird. Photos, recordings of calls and songs. You scroll around a little bit, you can see who's very recently submitted data. So these are all checklists from today, which is December 30th. Here are the people who submit the most checklists in the region. Here are the different hotspots. Not all eBird data will be associated with a hotspot, but hotspots are just places where multiple checklists have been submitted. So a lot of people do go there, or at least some individual people go there a lot. We can check out some of these hotspots just with the lists of birds that show up there. So here's one. This is Sanjay Gande National Park, and it's got 151 species have been associated with it. Survi Jetty in Mumbai has 147 species. Mahim Nature Park has 125 or 126 species. You can also look at those on a map. So just click on the map icon in the top right, and in a second here this will come up. All right, so here we go. Every one of these little markers is a hotspot location, and you can zoom out to see sort of how they're distributed more broadly in the region and then the country. Eventually you get so far out and the hotspots are grouped as sort of on a grid of more like boxes. And there's a lot of like Southern Asia showing up with the birds that have been found there and the checklists that have been submitted. Well, we can explore some of these just right on the markers themselves for what that location is. Color coding tells you about how many species are there, from gray, which is 0, up to the dark reds, which is more than 500. And here I'm just exploring some of the hotspots that might be local to my friends in Mumbai. Some of these will be public areas. Some of these might be just a neighborhood where someone lives and they've been reporting some birds. Some will be parks. Some will be nature reserves. If we click on one of these, like Shivaji Park, 17 species, 14 checklists. We can look at bar charts to figure out sort of what's around what time of year. You can get directions to it. But if we just hit this blue box and get a little bit more detail, here's that species list of those 17 species associated with with this particular park. You can see who are the birders who've submitted checklists here, who's been here recently. Doesn't look like it's been birded since June. And then you can explore some of these species. So here's a great one, Coppersmith Barbit. What a beautiful bird. And this is right there in urban Mumbai. For each species that you find, you are taken to another site that tells you all about that species, including all the locations where that species has been recorded. You get photos of the bird. You can even listen to its calls and songs. And you definitely want to check that out for Coppersmith Barbit, which is like doop, 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 doop. Really cool sound. Going back to the broader map here, back to our hotspot list. And here's how bar charts look. So here's the same location, but now you've got each species with a little green indicator for sort of how frequently it's reported at different times of the year, all during the different months of the year. And you can parse that out a little bit. You can go like a beginning, like a single month if you want. Here we're just going to look at winter, and we can change the years of the data that we're checking about. So here's, I'm just going to do like the last 10 years. So we'll go 2011 to 2020 data. That brings the list down a little bit because it takes some of that older data out. But still, you can see this long list of species, all of which have been recorded from that location or that region. And things that are where there's a lot of green, that means that it's a species that's commonly found all through the year, like rose-ringed parakeet, beautiful Indian bird. And again, just like with Coppersmith Barbit, you can listen to calls and songs. So those bar charts can really give you a lot of insights into what species you might find at different times of year at these different locations. Let's look at some of these eBirders. Here are some of the actual people who are real active in this region, in identifying birds in this region. Some of them have real contact information. And some are just average folks who just like birds. I don't know what happened there. I just clicked something errant. This is interesting in that this fellow is actually the hotspot editor, and he's a regional reviewer, which means he's one of the people who actually works with the eBird data in this region. So you get some people who are just sort of participants and users, and some people who actually help manage eBird. Here's a fellow who works at the Bombay Natural History Society. So you can even get some information about different people and maybe what they do, and that can give you insights into perhaps wanting to contact those people if you have interests in this particular area. And the names of folks who have contributed, they'll only be hot linked if they've set up a profile in eBird that says this is my personal profile. So that's why you see some of these names here don't have a hot link to them. So there's actually quite a few birders participating and using eBird in Mumbai in India. And here's just an example of some of the media that's associated with these regions, all sorts of photos, and then these weird sort of gray speckly things are visual representations of sound recordings. And you can, click on a printable checklist. So you can get a checklist of the local birds you might see. You can make a little mark for each one of these you've seen. Or you can do a count, and every time you go out, you can count all those birds. So lots and lots of things to do and explore through eBird.